Great institutions attract great people. And when it comes to defying cancer, attracting, training, and retaining the best people is a necessity. In 2019, Dr. Kalin was honored with a Nobel Prize for Medicine for discoveries of the oxygen sensing system in cells. The insights Dr. Kalin and his team gleaned at the laboratory bench have made and will continue to make a significant difference for patients. At the same time Dr. Kalin was being recognized as a Nobel Prize winner, there was a patient already receiving new therapies influenced by Dr. Kalin's work under the care of oncologist Dr. Tony Schwery. His name, Sean Tierney. Present-day research is thriving. Cancer is being treated in ways no one ever imagined, and patients' lives are being transformed.
One of the greatest gifts we can give to future generations is new knowledge, especially knowledge that eventually improves the quality of our lives. And to generate that knowledge, we want the best and brightest pursuing careers in science.
I'm lucky to be over 12 years now at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, where I can do what I love. I can see patients, I can see improvement in their care over the years. I can do translational science. I can work with partners in the lab like Dr. Kalin, who has been my mentor for many, many years. And I can see improvement that start from bench to bedside.
The advances I've seen in the 14 years that I've been living with cancer have been amazing. There were only 2 drugs that were FDA approved for the general public for renal cell carcinoma. Right now, I think there's 13 drugs that didn't exist 14 years ago.
I came here with the intention of becoming a clinical doctor, but suddenly I had this marvelous opportunity to work in David Livingston's laboratory, and I found that through strong mentorship and strong colleagues, I can actually get up to speed. And so I think part of the magic at the Dana-Farber is sort of this ecosystem that's been created that strives for excellence in clinical care, but also strives for excellence in laboratory-based research. And then the magic happens when those two communicate with one another.
In September of 2006, I felt something pull. Over time, that pain radiated more towards my hip. Finally, my wife had enough of it and referred me to a doctor, and they ran an ultrasound that unfortunately, the ultrasound showed masses all throughout my body. I was referred to an oncologist, it's a general oncologist, and he said, "You're inoperable, it's chemo resistant, it's radiation resistant, and you're terminal."
As a practicing medical oncologist, it was very, very clear that for many of our patients, the therapies at the time were woefully inadequate, and the only path forward was to really understand these diseases much better. I was also aware that there was a scientific revolution that was just starting to take off. The new tools of modern molecular biology and genetics were now potentially going to be applied to the study of cancer.
Imagine a drug that is given to cancer patients and keep them alive. But in order to get to that drug, a lot of years and years and years and sweat and tears happen at the bench. And that's from understanding sometimes the underlying biology of the disease and sometimes just coming across it. And that's what Dr. Kalin really started in the early 90s, his lab focusing on hard to tackle tumors like kidney cancer. When folks hear the word cancer, they think that this is the end. This is not true in this day and age. Options exist, research is thriving, and the teams and the vision are more than ever aligned.
Oh no, there's monsters coming after me.
In February, I passed 14 years living with stage 4 cancer. It's kept me well enough to see that our other 2 children get married, and I have 6 grandchildren now that I never, ever even fantasize about seeing one, never mind 6. I've had all this bonus time because of the work Dr. Kalin, Dr. Schwerin, and so many others.
As a physician scientist, I don't think there's anything more gratifying than seeing something you discovered touch a patient in a meaningful way. I mean, I've been blessed to win some scientific prizes, but just walking through the waiting rooms at the Dana-Farber on the way to the laboratory helps focus your mind and put things in proper perspective.
I'm motivated by those very short but very important moments in people's life. Sean became like family, so when he had a grandkids, when he had another graduation, these drugs and these treatment get them to the second thing. Thanksgiving, he sat down with his families all together, and now we take it for granted. He's been many, many Thanksgiving and many more to come.
Sean Tierney, kidney cancer from Pittsfield, one of our top fundraisers. Thank you, sir.
Every year we do the Jimmy Fund Walk and raise money for Dana-Farber. I've had 17 different specialists interceded in my health. Without that kind of backing and funding, these things wouldn't be possible.
You become very close as an oncologist to your patient, and you would think what happened 3-4 years ago, if this drug that is available now and you're showing responses just was available 2-3 years ago, this person would have been thriving, would have been there, and would benefit from the next generation of drugs. Not everybody makes it, but I see how we were 10 years ago, and I'm extremely hopeful about the next 10 years.
You need to have the flexibility and the freedom to go where the road takes you, because that's where the next big discovery is likely to lie. This is a tough business in science. Not every experiment works. In fact, the majority of them don't work. And we want people taking chances. We want people taking risks. When funding gets tight, people tend to get a little conservative. They do experiments that are fairly pedestrian. We want people following their curiosity and going into uncharted territory, but that entails taking on some risk. And so you have to create the sort of environment where that's rewarded and where that's supported.
We're not going to be intimidated by cancer. We're going to defeat and defy cancer, and we're going to be all together, the bench lab scientists, the clinician, the nursing staff, all members of our team at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, united against cancer. And when all united, cancer will have no chance.
At Dana-Farber, we have a tradition to try to support our scientists with the resources so that they can ask extremely difficult questions, and that's what leads to new advances and discoveries. The Dana-Farber campaign will enable us to expand that support for our scientific community and their relentless pursuit of discoveries that will benefit patients today and in the future.